All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a high-level overview of the Alnas organization. What we're looking at is a truly fascinating digital model for direct democracy. And here is why this matters to you. This could very well be a blueprint for how your own local community might operate one day. If you've ever wondered how modern, everyday technology could be used to completely rethink how communities govern themselves, manage public records, and even support local innovation, you are going to find this overview absolutely riveting. We're exploring a system that basically aims to strip away the heavy bureaucracy of traditional governance and replace it with a radically open, community-driven platform. Before we get into the nuts and bolts, just take a look at their official emblem. You've got this golden figure standing front and center, holding the scales of justice, surrounded by a wreath. It perfectly captures their core focus. The entire framework of this organization is built right on top of the concepts of justice, equality, and giving every single person an equal opportunity to participate in their community's success. So here's our roadmap for this overview. We're going to unpack this in 5 clear steps. The vision of Alnas, their 4 pillars of purpose, the open record mechanics, how to navigate their digital ecosystem, and finally, a really interesting co-pilot civic evaluation. Let's kick things off with Section 1, the vision of Alnas, focusing on direct democracy and empowerment. The foundation of this entire project comes from its founder, Mohammed Abdullah Hussein Alatas. His statement in the source text really anchors the initiative. He writes, "Our decisions are made by our collective will within a democratic framework governed by the majority vote, because we are the people." And a quick fun fact for you, the name Al-Nas actually translates to the people in Arabic. The grand vision here is to promote peace with justice by putting the power of decision-making directly back into the hands of the community itself, completely bypassing the usual intermediaries. The big takeaway here is that Alnas is built to act as a decentralized alternative to traditional civic administration. Let's be honest, traditional governance can sometimes feel, opaque, sluggish, or totally disconnected from the everyday citizen. Imagine bypassing all that red tape. Alnas is proposing a system where public decisions, civic requests, and economic ideas are completely out in the open and decided directly through community participation. Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 pillars of purpose, which make up the foundation of Alnas. What's great is how they take this massive, sky-high vision and break it down into 4 very distinct functional pillars. These basically form the backbone of the organization. First, you have transparent civic governance. This is where folks actually propose laws and hold elections. Second is the open public ledger, which acts as a crowdsourced portal for verifying facts. Third is innovation and patents, giving creators a completely free place to document their intellectual property. And fourth is human development, covering everyday needs like health advice, jobs, and family support. It really is a holistic approach to building a civic ecosystem. To put this into perspective, just compare it to traditional systems and you'll see a stark contrast. Where traditional systems might bog you down in endless paperwork or demand incredibly costly patent lawyers, the Alnas model counters with a free, open intellectual property desk. It replaces those hidden, closed-door administrative processes with real-time public tracking of every civic action. Plus, it fights misinformation with a crowdsourced facts repository. The whole goal is just stripping away those frustrating bureaucratic barriers. All right, Section 3, the open record mechanics, surprisingly powered by Google. You're going to hear the phrase radical transparency quite a bit in this document. Now, in the context of Alnas, this isn't just a corporate buzzword. It's a hard structural mandate. It means the system is explicitly designed so that every single petition, every vote cast, and every request made is recorded publicly, in real time, on an unedited ledger. The logic is simple but powerful. If everyone can see everything instantly, with 0 backroom edits, it becomes pretty much impossible to censor information or run corrupt practices. Now here is honestly the wildest part of this entire explainer. They pull off this radical transparency not through some ultra-complex billion-dollar blockchain tech, but by using everyday Google tools. It's a brilliantly simple 2-part integration. Step 1, a visitor submits their vote or request using a standard embedded Google form. Step 2, that submission instantly pops up on a publicly viewable Google Sheet. That is literally it. By linking together free global tools like Google Sites, Forms, Sheets, and Maps, they've engineered a public record framework with virtually 0 barriers to entry. Which brings us to Section 4, navigating the digital ecosystem, or the visitor journey. Think of their site structure as a highly modular digital city hall. You start out at the homepage, which gives you interactive maps showing where community members are, plus calendars for their weekly public online meetings. From there, you branch out into dedicated portals for just about any civic need. Want to advocate for something? Hit the facts and petitions pages. Want to literally draft rules for the community? Go to Majority Laws. Need capital? Check the investment page. There's even a wedding home portal designed specifically to support family formation and domestic stability. To make sure nobody gets lost, they've laid out a clear 5-step visitor participation guide. Step 1 is just attending the weekly public meetings. Step 2, you can submit verifiable facts to the ledger. Step 3 is exercising your democratic rights by voting or proposing a law. Step 4 lets you register patents or hunt for jobs. And finally, Step 5 is where you can request healthcare assistance or logistical support. Why does this matter? Because it takes governance, which is usually this abstract, intimidating concept, and turns it into a simple, actionable user journey. And finally, Section 5, the Copilot Civic Evaluation, offering an AI perspective. Now, I want to be super clear up front. We are impartially reporting this next part exactly as it appears in the source text. Back in 2026, the founder fed the Alnas document into Microsoft Copilot and asked it to evaluate the system against major global entities. We are simply explaining the AI's conclusions, which were based strictly on the structural features it analyzed, without endorsing any particular political viewpoint. Looking at dimensions like transparency, democratic participation, scalability, and operational simplicity, Copilot handed Alnas a seriously impressive score, 9.2 out of 10. The AI noted that for a civic platform at this stage of development, its structure is pretty exceptional. When the AI put Alnas head-to-head with the United Nations, generic nation-state governments, the European Union, and major NGOs, Alnas actually scored higher in almost every structural category. It absolutely dominated in transparency and operational simplicity with perfect tens. Interestingly, the only category it didn't win was public services, which the AI gave to traditional governments, likely because they already have established physical infrastructure in place. Looking at the final tally, the AI's scorecard leans heavily towards the Alnas model. Out of the 8 total comparison categories analyzed, Alnas secured 7 wins. Traditional governments picked up just 1, while the other heavy hitters like the UN and EU secured 0 in this specific structural feature comparison. So, purely based on the structural framework, the AI explicitly dubbed Alnas the, quote, ultimate winner. Copilot's reasoning was that the platform's reliance on free, instantly deployable tools, paired with those unedited public ledgers, allows it to structurally outperform massive civic entities when it comes to transparency, global accessibility, and simplicity. Again, the AI made sure to state this wasn't a political opinion, it was a strict technical evaluation of the decentralized architecture. So, as we wrap up this overview, it leaves us with a truly fascinating question to ponder. When you look at this model, where an entire community can be governed, patents registered, and laws passed using simple linked spreadsheets and forms, you have to ask yourself, does this incredibly accessible open-source approach represent the true future of transparent civic organization? Could these straightforward digital tools eventually reshape how we organize society itself? It is certainly a compelling vision to think about. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.